Time is short, but the release of this report today by George Frame is the evidence that we need to be able to say to council and councillors that there is no way in which this destruction of this building can now be justified. This is an asset. A year ago we looked at pricing professionally the cost of replacing that building, and there was no change left out of $5 million. So no responsible councillor can turn around to the community and say we're going to cost you $5 million at some stage in the future. Now this report shows that the building needs some maintenance, it's structurally sound, and for less than $500,000 worst case scenario, the building can be brought on stream and then there's a kitchen refit. Now we're talking to builders, we've got builders volunteering time and materials and labour. We're going to float the idea of putting together a Tipplers Foundation to raise the money, providing that Tipplers stays as a community asset and a not-for-profit trust is set up to operate it. Now, council doesn't have the expertise to be in these places. They need the help of professional people who have the experience in running these types of organisations. Now, we have those resources. We have people committed to putting Tipplers back online, and we will do everything possible to work with council to get what will be a positive community outcome. So the message today is to Dale Dixon, forget about demolishing the building at Tipplers. It cannot be justified under any circumstances.
How detailed is this report?
It's very detailed. It has all the photos. George Frame is one of the most experienced people in his field in Queensland, and he's had 34 years experience. By coincidence, he was the engineer for my house, Eddie Saroff's house, and Amanda Lake's house, so he's definitely been a busy lad over the years. But George is very well respected, and we rely upon his word and trust what he says. Now, the report is a legal document. We'll make that available to the CEO and councillors, and we ask them to step back from this agenda they've had with Tipplers and start to now listen to the community. We don't want the bureaucrats driving this issue. Now, we went over there for the inspection and we were trying to have a nice peaceful look around the place, and we're getting these people now here telling us that, you know, this is going to cost too much to refurbish. Well, the proof here is here today that it's not going to cost a whole lot of money. All we need is a bit of teamwork, a bit of willpower, and Tipplers can be the place that we want back again. And what it is, it's an iconic area. It's something that's part of our heritage on the Gold Coast, and I want everybody in the Gold Coast to start pulling on the same rope so that we can keep it. It's worth saving.
Why do you think that the CEO claims it costs $1.7 million to renovate, while Mr. Frame's report says that it'll be less than $500?
Well,
Before you answer that, can you just go after the...
Sorry. I think anything that council does costs a lot of money. Because simply the process is not part of the real commercial world. So the difference between council doing something and private enterprise doing something is quite great, and we've seen that already. Now, last weekend one of our members went into the kiosk to try and get some, last weekend one of our members went into the kiosk at Tipplers to try and buy some food, and they were told that it's no longer economical to sell food or milk or papers. And I said to him, was there any chance of getting a cold beer there? And he said, none whatsoever. But the situation is the kiosk was only selling ice last Sunday morning. So, I mean, this is an example that council shouldn't be in these sorts of private enterprise situations. And we need private sector involvement in Tipplers from here on. The council model and the direction they're going will fail, and we can see that it will fail. Dale Dixon thinks that Tipplers is just about a barefoot bar. It's not. And this shows that the council doesn't really understand what people are complaining about. What people want back is the ambience that Tipplers had. And even though this building is in a fairly dilapidated state, the ambience is still there. And it can be recreated and brought back to life for the benefit of everybody. So our message to council is stop playing ducks and drakes on it. Let's get down to the serious business of putting Tipplers back and saving the public the money, because this council has to manage the ratepayers' money much better than what it's been doing, and here's their first opportunity to do that.
Does this completely undermine council that the CEO is using to try and get involved?
Well, well, it does. Well, it doesn't undermine the report because the report was never released. Now, we saw that report last Friday, finally. So we've got councillors voting on a report that they've never seen. Now, if I was voting on something, I'd be looking at the fine print, but our councillors aren't going to that stage. And I find it surprising that our councillors don't make themselves informed. So that report did say that the building was sound, and it dealt with some outer buildings that have since been demolished. So we've had a whole lot of smoke and mirrors with council, and it's really time for that to stop. We don't want to be professional protesters. We want an outcome. We've always tried to get an outcome, so let's hope that this report is the start of some cooperation. Now, I've suggested to Councillor Roberts at Tipplers last Friday that we'd be happy to sit around a table with all the interested councillors and start to work out a way forward. Now, we're prepared to do that. We've got people prepared to put labour in, people prepared to donate materials. We can save the ratepayers money. Now, the council, it'll cost the council $1.7 million to try and refurbish the building. We're going to be able to do it for minimal cost. And if we can get our foundation going, and there may even be some grants that we're entitled to via state government and federal government, it may well be that Tipplers costs the ratepayers very little money from here on. Because the whole benefit of what we do is that we give an income stream for the future. The council model is doomed to fail. It hasn't been designed right, it will not be supported, it will be just like the kiosk, it will fail. So let's not waste any more public money, let's get the formula right from the start, let's get some goodwill from the council, that's what we want. We're prepared to put our effort in. We want Dale Dixon and the councillors and the bureaucrats all to change their attitude to Tipplers and start working towards a better outcome. That's what we want.
In a broader sense, how much more effective road sales and tourism on the Gold Coast?
Look, tremendously. I mean, to have, like over Easter, the City Marina discounted fuel 30% to try and give people an incentive to get out. I know people who sold boats because there was nowhere to go. Tipplers is a very important green industry, and that can't be understated. This is part of our lifestyle on the Gold Coast. We seem to have lost our way in the last 8 years on the Gold Coast. You know, it used to be such a vibrant place, and we're slowly being dumbed down. Businesses fleeing the coast, unemployment's up to 8%, the marine industry is on its knees. You know, it's time that our civic leaders took a closer look. Now, one council was trying to tell me at Tipplers it was all because of the global financial downturn. I mean, that's a very convenient excuse. It's not. When people don't have a destination to go to, it affects everybody. It affects the people who sell boats, who service boats, who sell accessories, so it goes right around the economy. So very important for the Gold Coast marine industry generally that Tipplers comes back as a boating destination, and I speak to enough people who are the leaders in the industry to know that they support our position. So you know, we've got to get it back. We have to get it back. Council has to listen.
Yeah, no, we're pulling that one down.
Thanks very much. I'll get George.